Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Drinking with the Boys. We are live at Chicken Moto in Richardson, Texas.
What up, guys?
Home of the IT tech world for most of the United States and other parts of the world. We're hanging out. Chicken Moto, it's owned by BB Bop, which is one of Corey's favorite places to eat down off of Greenville and Oak Cliff. They got some good fried chicken. It's Korean chicken meets Southern. So we got, what do we have? A full bird here with mashed potatoes and gravy and some charro beans, but it's got a sweet.
It was a mix. Yeah,
it's a sweet chili.
It was a sweet, spicy sweet chili on the really crispy fried chicken. It was tasty.
Hey, and they got Shiner pitchers, and that's what all matters.
It was a good deal. Yeah, so we're going to call the show the right name this week.
Yeah, it's Drinking with the Boys this week. Last week I talked about the baseball podcast while we were at Easy Slider. But
whoops. You know, hard
really,
to separate those things in our head sometimes.
I was really distracted. We'll use the word distracted and not drunk.
The incredible service was very distracting.
Yeah, man, it was. Like, really good service, really cool people. It was really hot that day.
You know, it's Texas in September.
And you can't have a rain delay in a football game. Like, that's just
apparently they did. They had some lightning and a
5-minute rain delay.
Completely screwed with the Cowboys vibe.
And I decided to drink for the whole 55 minutes. So
that was last week. This is this week. Let's do it.
Yeah. So last week, Cowboys fell a little bit short, just a tad.
A lot bit.
42-17.
That's a lot bit.
That's a lot. We didn't have a lot of information because we were going live at the end of the game because Corey got impatient. I'll blame that on him. So, you know, Zeke Elliott, who we were all really worked up about, hey, make sure he plays. Well, he didn't want to play last week.
Now people are like, just add that onto the suspension.
Yeah, right.
Subtract from the 6.
Ezekiel Elliott ran 24 feet Sunday.
8 yards is pretty
8
pathetic.
Yards rushing.
How many attempts was that? Maybe like...
I think it was 5 attempts.
Okay,
He had 5 rushing attempts.
It was pathetic.
8 yards, yeah. And I think he got 5 of those yards in 1 attempt. So the other 4...
You've seen Friday Night Lights,
yards.
right?
Yeah. The movie or the show?
Well, both, but the movie.
Right.
So when they try to run the ball on Carter...
Right.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, pretty much what happened. It looked like for most of the game, they knew when Zeke was going to get the ball, and they were like, "Yeah, we're just going to stick 10 people in front of you. Best of luck on this."
They crashed through that O-line. There was no run blocking. It was carnage.
Yeah, and passing there wasn't too good either. Dez only got 56 yards. But
so here's what I'm gonna bring up.
51 people on that team shit the bed that day. They look like they poo-pooed everywhere.
Were there 2 that didn't?
Lawrence?
Yeah.
And Dan Bailey.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you have anybody on the fantasy team right now from the Cowboys, it better be Dan Bailey. Because who the hell knows what's going to show up the next week.
Some people were showing on Twitter over the last couple of days that Dez's 56 yards and 1 touchdown was actually a fairly good performance when you look at all of these top-tier wide receivers like Julio Jones and A.J. Green. When they go against Denver's secondary, they generally only get like 50 yards and 0 touchdowns. Like, that's a pretty normal thing, 48 yards, and only a few of them got a touchdown. So his 56 is not really that bad in comparison.
No. I mean, when you think about, what you're looking at.
It definitely fueled the Dez is overrated narrative the entire week. So that was fun to listen to. People are way off the Dez train now. Yeah,
no, he was way... It looked worse than what it was, but he held up. I mean, scoring a touchdown on it is kind of hard to do.
I mean, that was a they were a yard out and they threw a fade to him. I mean, he's a big guy and he can fetch that back shoulder fade in the end zone. But I think that does give me a little bit of hope. Like, just a little bit of perspective on how good the Denver pass defense is. I'm still on the, hey, Dez is overrated as the number one train, but I think as a whole, the Cowboys' passing attack it doesn't truly worry me for the entire year. I think they weren't prepared for a really excellent defense. I don't think the Cowboys' passing attack is elite, but I think it can stay pretty great the entire year. I don't think it's a sign that we've got nothing and Dak sucks and Dez sucks and, we have no offense anymore.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really unique season to see because the O-line lost Doug Free.
Okay.
It's very much a leader on the team.
We've got plenty of leaders. We also lost Ronald Leary,
right,
who theoretically could have gone to Denver and been like, "Hey guys, this is exactly how the Cowboys are going to block. This is what is really hard for us to block."
Yeah.
Speaking from past experience as a Cowboys run blocker, so do this to counteract it. I don't know if he would do that. I don't know if even coaches want to listen to him if he was wanting to say anything like that. Maybe there's a code in the NFL that says you don't spill the secrets on your past team. Maybe, but it's a thought that crossed some people's mind.
I think that football with that has a little bit of a advantage in that sense where you can kind of fill a player out on kind of, hey, here were the schemes that these coaches did. Even if you didn't even play for the team, maybe you played for the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, they all have tendencies.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of, a weird situation where you get a little bit more insight.
Yeah, I think a little bit of insight can help you, but really I think, all the answers are written on the film. You can see everything the Cowboys are going to do. You can see everything every single team is going to do on the film. You just got to study, find a good attack, and counter it. You don't really need an old player to give you insight. You're a coach. You've got scouts. You figure it out.
Right. Right. And you can see what plays and what schemes worked well for what, and kind of combat that with what beats this defense in this certain scheme, what beats this offense when they're in this formation.
For sure.
And it's a whole lot easier. I think we talk about football not using as many analytics as other sports, but you also have a lot more of a team environment and play sets that you can study to really analyze a team. You don't go based off of, this player typically does this. Yeah, no,
the analytics from last week say the Cowboys' offense was really bad. The solution is to execute, and that's the boring thing that Jason Garrett will say is we just needed to execute better or something like that. No, if you block your guy better and you block him longer, and you move him off the ball, then Zeke's going to run. He's not going to get held to 8 yards again.
Right.
That's absolutely impossible. He's going to get more touches. He's going to get more yards. The Cardinals have a pretty good defense, but it's just not going to happen again to be that effective against their run.
Right.
So once he gets established, I feel like that's the main key to the Cowboys game is get in the rhythm that they want to do to dictate the pace of the game, to dictate the flow of the game, to feel comfortable in their offense is to have a very effective running game that sets up the pass.
And I think we'll probably see a little bit more Zeke catching the ball and running. I think they're going to try to get him more maybe on the outsides than they did last week.
Yeah. No, I feel like that was one thing. You're right. I think that was one thing that the Cowboys didn't do very much at all of last week. And I know that they didn't really have a ton of time in possession. They had a very, throw the playbook out of the window. What can we do? Anything that works. But I feel like, getting Zeke more touches in non-traditional straight handoff type plays would be a good move. Get him involved. Speaking of players that are involved, I feel like we over-targeted Dez in the first 2 weeks. I like the idea of getting him a few passes early in the game, but I feel like once you've done that, you just work him in however it happens. I feel like they've kind of been forcing Dez. So yeah, just run the ball effectively, and that'll help the Cowboys. For the Cardinals offense, they've got a pretty weak running game. They lost David Johnson. They've got some no-names as backups. One of the worst running attacks in the NFL. So basically the Cowboys should be able to shut that down with a normal 7-man front. And if they can do that, then it's the Cardinals' passing attack is good. Larry Fitzgerald, and who's that other guy we were looking at?
J.J. Nelson.
J.J. Nelson, some guy I never heard of, but apparently he's good.
He's getting it. Everybody, I think, is kind of watching Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's kind of been also in the news talking about how he would rather be hit in the head than in the knees, where he's at in his time in life. He basically
I didn't hear that one.
He made the comment. Can't remember who they were playing, but he was going to be up against a really tough corner, and he was like, "I'll write the check. Don't hit me in the knees. Don't hit me below the waist. I'll pay the fine."
He would like to be able to walk for the rest of his life.
He would like to be able to hold on to the last few years that he has. Which also we may touch a little bit on news about Aaron Hernandez.
I feel like that's a lot to talk about. The whole CTE thing with Aaron Hernandez coming out, but
right now
we might not have time in the show for that.
We might not.
So we did have one game thus far in the week of the NFL, and that was Thursday night. Rams at 49ers? Yeah. It was, yeah. Two pretty terrible-looking teams on paper played a really exciting game. A lot of people, it was like in the 40s, very close game. We had an onside kick recovered at the end. Both these teams looked way better than they normally are because they're playing another weak opponent.
Right.
But like Todd Gurley, he's a great player, and he looked really good.
Yeah.
We got number 2. Was Goff picked number 2 and Wentz was picked number 1?
Yes.
Okay, so we got number 2 overall pick, Jared Goff. He played really well. People overreacted the hell out of that. People were like, oh, man, look, I've been talking about him the whole time. He just finally needed to get unleashed.
Yeah, he finally needed to play the Niners.
Yeah, play the Niners.
If you ever want your stats to increase, you play the fucking Niners.
If you're slumping and you need to have a good game, play the Niners or the Rams, right?
Right. I'll tell you what was the worst thing of that game was the Rams uniform.
It was very yellow.
Those things look like...
I mean, the whole Thursday color rush thing, people like it, people hate it.
The Niners wasn't bad. It was the all black, but that stupid fucking all yellow.
It was definitely unique.
Looked like there should have been some Africans in them driving them around. They look like fucking taxis.
It was a fun game. It came down to the wire. There was some questionable pass interference call at the end. But no, I just can't really...
It was the best shitty game ever.
Right. I can't really get on the Jared Goff train that easily. I feel like people need to hold off, wait a full year. We're still watching that whole Carson Wentz. How good is he? Jared Goff. How good is he? Dak Prescott. Is he going to have a sophomore slump as well? Kind of thing. So moving along to what we're looking at for tomorrow. So Cowboys Cardinals game in Arizona is on Monday.
Yep, they got that Monday night.
A few of the key games for tomorrow. We got Giants-Eagles. Giants started off 0-2. They've got some real questions over in New York. Eli's not looking good. Odell's questionable. Their defense, meh. They haven't been able to win. So I think Giants are really, like, that New York media is going to eat them alive. The jumping off of the Eli is an okay quarterback. That's going to be in full force if they're 0-3. People are going to recognize that they have no run attack. People are going to be like, Odell's overrated. Giants defense is overrated. Going 0-3 for the Giants would be a terrible way to start the season when people are predicting them to win the division potentially.
Yeah, there'll be people without jobs on Monday.
Maybe.
Nah, there will be.
I think I can't remember their new coach's name, but he is talking about how we do need to fix things. This is a bad start. Eagles are 1-1 right now. That would be a good thing. So if they would win, I would root for that. I would root for the Eagles to win just because of the mayhem over in New York. If the Giants start 0-3, I feel like that'd be also great cover for the potential mayhem in Dallas if Cowboys go 1-2. Think of the Cowboys, 13-3 last year. Hey, can they go maybe 10 wins, 11 wins, 9 wins? Can we have a good year this year? Starting off 1-2 is not the way to do that. Cardinals are a good team. There's a potential on the road to lose to the Cardinals. So that's definitely not.
The Cardinals the past few years have been that team that you don't really know who's going to show up.
No, they're totally up and down. I agree.
You don't know if it's going to be the Cardinals that were in the playoffs 3 or 4 years in a row, or if it's this newfound Cardinals team that was last year where it was basically like age hit all of them like a truck.
Yeah, and they they got lucky on David Johnson. They ended up with a great running attack when they hadn't had that in the past. No, but so another game for tomorrow, Pittsburgh Steelers at Chicago. The line is only 7.5. I feel like Chicago is going to get trucked.
Oh, they get trucked every year.
Yeah, that's every single game every year. I feel like Pittsburgh probably wins by 14 plus. Looking at Houston and New England, we got Plano's own Rex Burkhead. He plays for the New England Patriots now, but he is injured. He's out tomorrow. We got an interesting quarterback duel. We got Tom Brady, the NFL's oldest quarterback, at 40-plus years old. And we got Deshaun Watson at 22 years old, going head-to-head. Tom Brady's basically old enough to be Deshaun Watson's dad.
Are you saying that Deshaun Watson was fathered by Tom Brady?
I think you're saying that. But it would be quite an interesting thing to see this young rookie running quarterback versus your old veteran who's one of the best ever to play quarterback. I think Houston.
I think we say the.
He's pretty close to the best ever. I would definitely be able to support you in that. But no, Houston's got a good team, relatively. New England, they should have a good team. They just got killed by Kansas City 2 weeks ago. So I think that could be a good game. Seattle and Tennessee. Mariota looks good. Tennessee 1-1, I believe. Seattle with your favorite cornerback, Richard Sherman.
The whole reason I stopped eating chunky soup.
Richard Sherman is Face's favorite. And he was in the news. He was talking about the NFL being hypocritical on gambling. And then he's calling out Donald Trump, which we were going to get into.
Apparently, guys, if you don't have some fucking post on Facebook about Donald Trump calling a bunch of people a bunch of sons of bitches, and
then apparently you're complicit in that.
You're condoning his actions. It's just a cheap tactic by a cheap human being. I honestly would put a GoFundMe account together for somebody to let him pick something off and rip those fucking Bob Marley dreads right out of his fucking head. I hate that man with a fucking passion. I've hated that guy since he looked at Aaron Andrews and went off about some other fuck that no one remembered. What was his name? Yeah, exactly, because he played for the Niners, and the Niners and Seahawks were carrying on like they were the
it was Crabtree, right?
Yeah, Crabtree.
It was Texas Tech. He was angry in that moment.
Come from Stanford.
I feel like that could be a good game. Seattle versus Tennessee, though. Kansas City versus the Chargers. I feel like Kansas City's had a good team. Chargers, not so much. People are even rumoring this the last couple of days about, Chargers' attendance is so bad they can't even fill a small soccer stadium. If this keeps up over a couple of years, we're going to move them back to San Diego.
Listen,
I think it's all just rumors, but
here's the thing.
It does raise a question.
L.A. did not want the Chargers.
No, and San Diego does.
The only thing that wanted the L.A. was the Chargers owner.
Spanos or whatever, the owner. Yeah, he moved to L.A. because everything's greener on the other side, right?
And if you really think about it, I don't even know how much L.A. wants the Rams. L.A. wants the Raiders. That's all they've ever wanted. They're not going to get the Raiders.
But, the Rams used to be in L.A. I think the Rams have a better product than San Diego right now. And yes, San Diego doesn't want to watch their old team. LA doesn't want to watch their new team. So San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers, are basically a team without a city. Cincinnati at Green Bay, Eddie Lacy in the news because he is telling his story about how bad he's been bullied over the last several years for his weight. Well, the fact is, as Chase said it so eloquently a few minutes ago, Eddie Lacy was just really fat.
Eddie Lacy
and he
was
still
really
is fat.
He still is fat.
Eddie
Lacy, if you're out there, you're fat.
I can't remember the Giants running back that was like 6'5" giant.
James Earl Jones?
No, anyway. No. But Eddie Lacy was like an ineffective version of that. I mean, he was supposed to be this big bruiser, but mainly he was just slow. And he got injured, and he was fat, and he was slow. So he was telling people that he didn't really love that everywhere he turned on, every single social media, that he was constantly just like getting ridiculed all day long, every day for being fat. Well, be more effective as a running back and not have such a big gut, and then you wouldn't get called fat all the time, right? But
right.
Green Bay and Cincinnati,
huh? Jerome Bettis was fat, but he did his job.
Yeah, exactly. Green Bay and Cincinnati could be a pretty good game. Cincinnati needs to rebound because they've had absolutely zero offense for 2 games. Oakland and Washington, I feel like that was going to be one of the best games. Derek Carr going against... can't even remember his name right now.
For who, Tennessee?
No, Washington's quarterback.
Oh, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, whatever. Small guy. No one cares about him.
Yeah. Hey, do we want to talk about the new name?
It's a great one.
So
Washington.
Washington Wagon Burners. I feel like
Redskins is totally passe, right?
Donald Trump bought the Redskins, and that's how he's going.
I think it'd be good.
I think it'd be good. It has a ring to it. Washington Wagon Burner. It's all right there. I mean, don't take that offensive, guys, if you're Native American.
I mean, I think our show's tagline is to offend everybody.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, I pretty much try to, in the sense of everything.
No, who's going to perform better, Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins?
I'm going to say Derek Carr. I think Kirk Cousins is well on his way out. I think Kirk Cousins sounds a lot like Carson Palmer, and Carson Palmer's on his way out, and Kirk Cousins can't get anything but a franchise tag.
Kirk Cousins is getting paid handsomely to be pretty good. I mean, he's been good, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it's at Washington. They have a pretty good, I guess. Well, we don't know. They're 1-1. Oakland is 2-0. We've had some fairly good college football games this week. Might want to pay attention to that. Who cares? A&M. Hey, they won again, right?
Hey, yeah.
So Aggies traditionally over the last 4 or 5 years of Kevin Sumlin and all this stuff, Aggies have had a really good start to their college football year, and then completely wheels fall off. They underperform the second half of the year, and they don't meet expectations that are set in the first 6 or 7 games. Well, this year's different because they were terrible the first game. But we keep playing Arkansas in Dallas. Every year we've been playing them at Jerry World. Jerry loves to have his Razorbacks at home. And so this week, actually, Arkansas's uniforms were redesigned to look a little bit more like the Cowboys' uniforms.
Yeah, they had that little
stripes
thing going on the sleeves, and instead of a star, they had a pig.
The like silver helmet with the pig was
a silver helmet with a pig on it.
Razorbacks.
I think it's a pig at the same.
Woo Pig Suey, and then we got the Whoop Whoop, right? Like,
yeah, and we gig 'em.
Gig 'em.
Like, is that all it is? Is a bunch of quagmires that go to like? No, that's Baylor. I forgot. That's where the Baylor quagmire from Family Guy just raping people.
Wow.
Yeah,
we're making jokes about that.
I'm not cracking
I feel like we could have a real
it.
Conversation about Baylor's problems.
We could probably have a real conversation about Baylor's problems, but I feel like Baylor's problems is about to happen on the football field tonight.
Let's see. Baylor is playing Oklahoma, and they're actually holding their own. I think they're only losing by like 3 points right now. But
what's the over/under on an offensive statement by an OU Sooner, either player, coach, or personnel, on the type of whooping that they get?
Pretty.
You know, one of them's
likely.
Practiced one. You know, one of them has practiced one.
Let's not waste time on that. So we did miss a few things about Cowboys-Cardinals matchup, or we're about to roll into that. So we talked about some of the keys to the game, maybe get that running. game established.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they can establish the run early, hit their targets, you've got Cole Beasley, you've got Jason Witten, you've got a lot of targets, and they don't have that much of a secondary.
Yeah, so the Cardinals have one great quarterback, Patrick Peterson. He might be pretty effective in shutting down Dez Bryant or whoever he covers.
Right.
He's very good. But the Cowboys, the Cowboys' strength can be in a balanced passing attack, and that's what I was seeing is that they keep forcing the ball to Dez. It seems like.
Because everybody has wanted that. That's all anybody has talked about is if you get Dez involved in the game,
right.
Dez is going to be, the only person that can get Dez involved in the game is Dez.
Yeah.
If Dez wants to show up and play, Dez will show up and play. If Dez doesn't want to show up and play, Dez won't play.
Catch what is thrown to you and get some yards after the catch.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a good slot with Cole Beasley. You've got a good tight end, which everybody thought, when Romo left, that was going to be the end of the Witten era because,
Witten's going to play for another 5 years like Tom Brady.
Prescott's favorite target is
right.
Jason Witten. It's reliable. It will always get you about 8 yards to 10 yards.
Yeah.
He finds a way to get open. If he's just a versatile player. He's good with blocking. He's an all-around leader. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the main point is we can have the short and effective passing game and occasionally those deep threats with T. Will and Dez. It needs to be take what's there. I think that was it might be this reaction to so last year Dak was extremely careful. He didn't know the entire offense. He wasn't super comfortable with it. Maybe he was thrown into it, and so he was always taking the short things.
Right.
The deep passing attack wasn't all that effective for a while, but it didn't matter. We were winning, and Zeke was going off. Well, now we've got that. We're trying to establish that relationship with Dez. We're trying to have the deep and the middle and the short passing attack. Well, again, just take what's there. I get it. That's a great thing. We need that deep play threat. But if we are over forcing and overreacting to, hey, we need that deep play, that deep passing attack. If that's making us ineffective and taking down Dak's passing percentage and all these other repercussions, we just need to feed it to Beasley if he's the guy who's always open.
Right.
So
Beasley's always going to be right there. And I think maybe, they may air it out a few times, but I think a fast-paced, short game will take precedent over this game.
Yeah. No, I think that would be... Yeah.
Getting Zeke on the outside to where he can catch and run may also do us a little bit of good.
Exactly, and that counts as short passing attack, too. I want to see both of those things. The effectiveness, doesn't matter how big of a passing game it is, the effectiveness and the accuracy in the passing game, including and getting Zeke involved, all the short game passing attack options that we have.
Right. I think one thing that'll be interesting to watch on the other side of the ball is Jalen Smith playing that middle linebacker spot.
No one talked about him last game, and I don't truly know how effective he was last game because mostly it was the Cowboys. Everyone on the Cowboys defense was ineffective
except for Lawrence.
DeMarcus Lawrence is playing pretty good. He's in that contract year, and he's going to get paid. Also, Tank Lawrence is doing pretty good. No, but we're getting Scandrick back, so that can only help. Also, just mainly Byron Jones was missing elementary tackles. There was just a lot of sloppiness on both sides of the ball. So in the secondary, that is super key that we make our tackles, get an interception or two. Maybe that would be key,
right?
And play with the same fire and passion that we saw from the Cowboys defense in Week 1 against the Giants.
I think we're going to see a lot of passing. Right now, in the past 2 games, they've been held to, on an average, 64 yards
rushing for the Cardinals.
Yeah. Worst in the league. Their passing, though, 6th best in the league.
Right.
So it seems to be more of an air raid type offense that we're going to have to go up to. So it's a good thing Orlando Scandrick is back. I think it'll be interesting if something happens and they're able to start breaking free up the middle and they start pushing that rush. If Jalen Smith may not be moved out and get Sean Lee right back in that middle spot. I was really shocked that they put him back at middle linebacker when you got Sean Lee.
Sean is not the middle linebacker anymore, Chase.
I know.
He's more effective when he's not clogged in the middle. He's more effective on that weak side. So, no, I mean, I think the real key, like what you're going to see the Cowboys in a nickel a lot. 5 DBs, 6 in the front. If the Cowboys can make the Cardinals one-dimensional, that's a Cardinal strength. But it also would tell you that the Cowboys were effective in shutting down the Cardinals' running attack. And if they can keep doing that with 7 or maybe 6 guys, I feel like that's the way you want the game to unfold, is you shut it down and you don't have to devote all your attention to the run game. And you're in that, it's going to be a pass-heavy attack probably, and it's going to be testing the Cowboys' defensive backs, and we'll see if they're any good.
Right. So we've got about 13 minutes left here in the podcast.
We're going to get political, aren't we?
We're going to get political.
You basically just want to press that soundbite every week, don't you?
Soundbites every week.
You really wish that you had the dun-dun from the Special Victims Unit.
I don't know. I wish I had Tim Tebow time on this show.
You want some Tebow time, don't you?
Tebow time.
Yeah, well, he's not in the NFL anymore.
He's not in the NFL, so I don't get no Tebow time.
So let's break it down. Donald Trump
making friends all over the sports world the past few days. Earlier Saturday morning, there was an episode that aired with on ESPN where Steph Curry said that he would turn down the invite to go to the White House.
Yeah, for
the Golden State Warriors.
Talk, was that even before? That was brewing before Trump said that about the NFL, didn't it?
Yeah, but it kind of came to a head.
Yeah, right. It came to the head after he said that.
And so this morning, Donald Trump was like, "Hey, you know what? I don't even want you here. Go find something else to do." So he withdrew his invitation for that team to come.
Right, and I think it's basically he got offended by the fact that the Golden State would even consider not showing up because of political reasons.
And UNC has turned down showing up.
The champion men's college basketball, North Carolina Tar Heels.
They said they're not showing up, but it's because
they said they had a schedule conflict.
Well, and they did the same thing last time in 2005. So this isn't the first time that this has happened. Yeah. So, that one you can't really hold a lot of weight to.
No, and so, Golden State has reacted as a team, issued a statement, blah, blah, blah. It's a real shame that it's been like that, but, hey, if we're not invited, we're not invited. We're going to continue to support the values we believe in, XYZ.
Judging by the team, though, I think the only person that was really upset about this was Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr wanted to go visit Donald Trump,
wanted to go to the White House.
That happened, and then
what's relative to our story is
Donald Trump is at a rally, a political rally in Huntsville, Alabama.
That's all good, yeah.
The basis, his base is strong in northern Alabama for sure, and so I
believe that's where the KKK was first formed. Was Huntsville, Alabama.
There's a few remnants of the KKK definitely over there, unfortunately. So what we've got is...
you said that with a U in. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
This is why I can't have a political conversation with you, son of a bitch. So Donald Trump is speaking to his base. People, and so... in pandering to his base, he said, "Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners when somebody disrespects our flag, as in kneeling during the national anthem, which the various players in the NFL are doing, like the Seattle guys. Well, Kaepernick obviously was doing it last year, but he's not in the league right now.
I wonder why he's not in the league.
Because he was kneeling a lot. So wouldn't you love it? Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, 'Get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired, he's fired.'"
And he was greeted by a whole bunch of fuck black people, I'm sure, in the crowd.
He went on to say the protests are hurting the game. Apparently, Donald Trump cares deeply about the NFL. He said referees are ruining the game by calling 15-yard penalties for beautiful tackles. That's pretty irrelevant. The main point is...
why are we not talking about that point? Because he's kind of got a point there.
For the first time in a lot of months, I'm going to say, yeah, he does have
a
point there.
Where's that? That's because fake news, man.
Fake news, right? Good old ESPN, fake news. No, it got buried. That's why we're not talking about that. Because
Fuck you,
Trump,
Barry.
because Trump said, "Wouldn't we love it if the players that are protesting police brutality in America would just get fired and be all thrown out of the league?" Basically, is what he's advocating. He says, "Get those son of the bitches off the field." It's not a great tone, and it's not a great content of what he's saying. It people are saying, "Look, the I'd say the most outlandish reaction, or commonly held, whatever, is that hey, Trump is just showing his true colors again, and he hates black people basically, and he doesn't like to see black people protesting the flag."
I think that's easy to say because you don't have white guys sitting down and kneeling during the Star Spangled Banner.
But that is true. There aren't a whole lot. So Michael Bennett is who I wanted to say. So like for the Seattle, he's defensive line Michael Bennett. We got a lot of others. Some of the Cleveland Browns were doing it. It's various teams across the NFL, not the Cowboys. Not a single one of them has ever knelt. A lot of people say, "Hey, Jerry Jones." I think Jerry Jones has paid lip service to the fact that a player can do whatever he wants. But I think what people recognize is that he's the most powerful owner in the league, and he has got his team in line the way he wants it. And if you are a Dallas Cowboy wearing the star on your helmet, you are going to back the blue, and you are not going to be kneeling to protest.
And here's the thing: is I understand everyone's right to free speech. I get that. That's why I get to say shit on here that, otherwise people would be like, oh, you can't say that. And a lot of people don't realize that when I was in 5th grade, I had a tragic accident in a car wreck, and all the fucks I had to give went out the fucking window. And I never really recuperated. The insurance didn't give me money to buy any back, so here we are. But for those that do give fucks, we now have this problem where everybody is so politically correct that we worry. And the thing is you can't get mad at what Donald Trump says if you're sitting there kneeling during the national anthem. Because what was weird, and I just figured this out. Actually, I've known for a while, and a lot of people haven't, but it's kind of new news.
Hey, breaking
news.
Dun, 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 dun.
The same right that you have to kneel during a flag because you're upset with
during the national anthem,
that you have a political grievance with the country, also provides that man the same right to say what he said at a rally.
Oh, of course. Everyone knows that Donald Trump has the right to say that.
But I don't think people understand.
But people want him to show a little bit more decorum and a little, treat the office of the president with respect, not lash out in the way he speaks about these issues. Be a little bit more sensitive, and not so coarse.
Here's what I want:
but Donald Trump's language is coarse.
I want these people who are upset, who are graphic designers and whatever else they do in their life, who are this new era of very liberal mind and thought process, which is fine. That's great. That's what makes America, red, white, and blue. If we were all one way, we'd all probably only have one color in our flag.
Just white?
Yeah, probably just... maybe.
I think there's a lot... I think from all walks of life, there's people upset at the way Donald Trump has reacted to this.
Of all walks of life who are upset with the protest. Because they're on a bigger stage. They feel like they have more liberties. If you go to any job, you are handed usually a packet of papers that has addressed to you a code, a outline of what you're going to do.
Conduct policy, basically.
Conduct policy. So, Corey works in a very...
sort of fancy.
It's a fancy area of town.
There's a dress code.
Right.
I'm held to different standards.
Right. But there's also a huge LGBT community within the confines of your work.
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure... Now, this is your free right. If you wanted to make a button with
Right.
the gay flag on it,
Yeah.
the LGBT flag on it, and have a red line through it, and have it made as a pin. That is your God-given American right. Am I wrong on any of this?
It would be. I could definitely do that if I so desired.
Now, how would your boss at work, being in the industry that you're in,
Right.
in the area that you're
Right.
in, and with a demographic that comes to your restaurant,
Right next to Oak Lawn,
how do you feel?
the management at my company would probably have a lot more problem with, with that compared to maybe somebody in Huntsville, Alabama.
Right.
So, and that's the thing is that in each community, in each city, all across America, different companies hold their employees to different standards based on community, based on the way the community is going to react to different things. So you got to be supportive of certain, some small businesses in East Texas are going to be very, very, giving to, local high school football and giving to the police and to, this organization, that organization. Whereas, a different business in a different community, say in Seattle or, in Oak Lawn, they're going to be, supporting a different type of community organization.
Right. So,
you've got to be
may
sensitive
have-
at
you
work.
may-
and so I might have the right to wear that kind of thing, but it also might get me fired.
Right. I worked for Starbucks forever. I mean, I worked for them.
Forever? You're still working there?
No, I'm not working there anymore. I worked for them for a long, long time. And, there was a lot of things where my views on certain things didn't line up with them, but I didn't voice that opinion. I didn't do that. I went there and I did my job. My job wasn't to sit there and be the moral police.
You conformed to the corporate policy.
Right.
And so people are saying, okay, well, I don't know about that because the NFL doesn't really have a corporate policy that says stand for the national anthem and do not ever protest. I think the NFL has basically said, okay, our hands are off. This is an issue that is bigger than the NFL.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's kind of where
that language, though. Go on. Sorry, I'll get into it.
I think that's where this problem has started to, become an issue. Is people want something from the league, and we are talking about a league who is nothing more than a people pleaser.
Yeah.
We'll suspend somebody 6 games who is acquitted of something because we want to please everybody. But at this point now, because of the people group and the different groups that are after it, there's no win in any of this.
What I do see when we say the words conduct detrimental to the league, when we talk about the player conduct policy, one could turn kneeling during the national anthem into, hey, this is conduct detrimental to the league, if you wanted to say that the league's image was tarnished by this. That was just something that was crossing my mind. But mostly what's really interesting to me is what's going to happen tomorrow. I feel like this has blown up one day before the games this weekend.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of players kneeling. I feel like there's going to be an increase of players kneeling to show solidarity with other players who have kneeled because they're in a united front against Donald Trump. I feel like that's what's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like the NFLPA will be all over this. But, that'll
it's
be something
be crazy.
That we'll
We're
talk
going to watch
about.
it.
Yeah, and we're going to be watching all the game on Monday. We'll be live tweeting that.
We're out of time, guys. I'm sorry.
So definitely be checking us out here on Spreaker. Check us out on iTunes, TuneIn Radio now. Search for us. We'll also be on SoundCloud, Drinking with the Boys, Instagram, Drinking with the Boys, Facebook, and DRNKNW, The Boys on Twitter.
We hope you enjoyed everything. We had a good week.
I've had a great week.
Keep drinking and watching football.
Yeah, and we'll be drinking with the boys next week.